Good evening, everybody. It's Dr. Malaika, and I'm here with another one of my sisters and friend. And these are kind of like my summer conversations. I kind of feel like when you can hear other people's stories about what they deal with, about the things they've overcome, about the challenges that they're working through and what they're doing, I think it's very encouraging. And so I wanted to kind of continue that. And so this is my sister, Tasha Garrick. Literally, I have known her. How old were you when you came to the church?
12.
She was 12. She's in her 30s now. So I have known her for a long time. I've been her youth leader. I've been her choir director. Now I'm her friend, mentor. Just our relationship has evolved over time. So I'm just grateful for her. She really is very close to our family. She's like best friends with one of my sisters. So I will let her kind of tell her a little bit about herself, and then we'll get into the conversation.
Okay. Well, I'm Tasha. I'm a single mom of 2 kids. I'm a nurse. I work Monday through Fridays, so I have a busy schedule.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Tell a little bit about your story.
So my story is I tried to hide it for a long time till at one point at work I just had a meltdown. And my manager was just like, yeah, I think you should go talk to these people. So I ended up doing that. I sat with my therapist 4 sessions. And by the 4th time, she was like, yeah, I think you're kind of depressed. I think you should take these pills. I got the pills, never took them. I have them sitting by my bed still to this day. I just try to find ways to overcome my depression. Majority of my depression is at home. Okay. Where I live, so it's kind of hard, but I refuse to take pills to make me happy. I mean, like, I hear it all the time, Latasha looks so mad, blah, blah, but I just be in my own skin. And I know there's people out there that is going through that, and don't give up on yourself. I haven't given up on myself, and I've been dealing with depression for a year and a half now.
So you said you tried to hide it. So
yes.
Why do you feel like you needed to hide it? Because we grew up in church, all right? Mm-hmm. So her story is similar to Angelique's story last week, where we grew up in the church from a young age, and just what we're taught and conditioned to believe when it comes to the challenges of life, right? If you get sick, you pray for healing, right? Have faith to believe in your healing. But a lot of times they didn't tell us about what to do with mental health challenges. If I'm feeling depressed, or I'm feeling sad beyond what's considered to be normal levels of sadness or length of sadness.
Right.
So why did you feel like you needed to hide it?
I felt that I needed to hide it because, one, because I am in church and I know that's not of God, but I didn't want people judging me.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't really understand that depression is real.
Right.
And they just would be like, oh, don't think that over you. Do this and get out more and blah, blah. It's just like, it's not that easy.
Did you feel like there was a judgment as if, from like a church standpoint, that you were weak if you gave into admitting that this is what you were actually dealing with? That they would look at you, not weak necessarily like you're a weak person and you can't deal with things, but spiritually,
right,
you're weak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The pills. So let's talk about that. Most people know my perspective when it comes to medications. I'm not a proponent of that. That's not how we were trained. So we were trained for talk therapy and other alternative types of care to help people through their challenges.
Right.
Obviously, a psychiatrist, that's their training because they're a medical doctor. They will give you medications. But there are times when you're in a very severe, acute situation where the pills are going to normalize you out. But the challenge is now you might be having to take this continuously.
Right.
So obviously you expressed that you're definitely against the pills because that wasn't something that you wanted to now become part of your everyday.
Right.
What are some of the things that you do to try to help you when you have these moments, especially because you said your house is kind of like a trigger for it? What are some of the things that you do besides the pills that you found that helped you moment to moment?
Music.
Okay.
I don't know, some music does something to me. It gotta be a good song.
Oh, okay.
It does something to me. I try to get out with my children, mainly with them. I'm always constantly. People always tell me I'm on the go, but that's what keeps my mind together.
Okay, so the being active, being busy, not idle, goal oriented type activities. So
Okay.
you're doing something to reach a goal.
Right.
You know, not necessarily she's working towards a work goal or a school goal or anything like that. But when I say goal directed, well, you're doing that too. But I mean, I'm not just aimlessly doing stuff. Like at the end of this, I expect this to be the end result, right? So I think that those are obviously some good things. It's kind of funny because that was the same thing that Angelique said. Music is a big thing for her. Like she plays music and she'll just dance real silly with her boys to the music. Do you do that too? I mean, right. They're looking at you like, what's wrong? But the reality is music is healing in a lot of ways. Yeah. And I kind of feel like it doesn't have to just be gospel music. We know gospel music, the message of it is empowering, it's encouraging, it's uplifting. Yeah. But I've even found that there's like certain songs, like a good Michael Jackson song will put you in a certain kind of mood to where you just feel like dancing around and acting goofy. Right. And I just feel like music is a very good, one of those good things to go to as a coping thing.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of oldies. I don't really like nowadays music.
That's me too.
Oldies will get me together. Like, cool.
I just feel like the quality of the music, there was substance to it. It meant something. Right. There was a message in the music, and I feel like you're not necessarily getting that today. Okay, but that's another conversation. We could be here forever on that. Let's talk about your kids. So Kayla is how old? 9, and Xavier is okay. So they're that close. Good Lord,
what is turned 8 in April?
They're close. So she has an 9-year-old daughter, 8-year-old son. And as she expressed, she's a single mom and she's a professional. She's a nurse, so she has a very demanding job every day. So how do you balance when you're at home, you've been away from them all day, right? Because your job, the hours, and they're gonna want that time with you at the end of the day. How do you balance if you're having one of those moods with making sure that they're taken care of?
The crazy thing is, sorry I'm getting emotional.
It's okay.
My children support me.
That's good.
When I am having a moment like this, Kayla is like, that's my boo.
She's a sweetheart. A very sweet child.
They love on me, and it's just like I feel like that's God because that's what I needed at that time. So they're very supportive. We do whatever. I try to get past this part and focus on them. There's times where I'm just like, yo, I can't right now, but
as you get here, we got stuff going on around us outside. Okay, sorry for that noise.
But past that, I just do what I can. I just focus and see what they want to do. Being that I've been gone away a lot, and anybody knows I hate to be hot and I hate the heat. They want to be in the pool. Okay. So I do what they want to do once I get home, and
taking the focus off of you sometimes helps. And I feel like sometimes kids, the purity of how they see life, it's so joyful to see them before life has gotten to them and hardened them and made them jaded, that they just have this energy and this excitement about days. It doesn't matter what it is. Right. I don't have to go to school today, so they're excited about that. Even if it is a school day, they may be excited about something they're going to do at school that day. Like they just have a certain energy that I feel like is contagious. Yeah. And I love the fact that Kayla is kind of like that bright spot for you. Like she almost picks up on how you're feeling. And she's like, Mommy needs an extra hug, or Mommy needs me to really be loving on her right now. And that just shows you how children are our gift, right? They're given to us to manage and to raise, but they really are a gift from God. And I feel like when you said that it was God when she does that, you're seeing the gift that He gave you. Yeah. Right. And so it makes all the stuff that mothers have to go through to get you here, the pain and all of that to raise you, it makes it worth it in those moments. What other support system do you have? Other people that are there for you?
I have you. Yes. I have my good friend Cara, Leslie, Melanie. Those were pretty much in my support system. And my daycare, she's really supportive, and she's a Christian, so it makes it all better. Yeah,
so sometimes it doesn't have to necessarily be a family member. You have people that are so connected to you that you almost create your own version of a family. Yeah. And, I would hope you don't feel that any of us judge you at any time, that you can be weak with us. Like, you can have those moments with us, and we're not going to look at you any other kind of way, because we might need you when we have our moment to be there and let us get that off our chest, right? So I like that, and I really like that all your close friends that are a part of your support system are female, because I feel like it's a misconception that women don't support one another.
Right.
And I feel like you're a very good example of the dynamics of the relationships you have with the women around you. They're very healthy relationships, and you guys are all so supportive of one another. And we pull you on your coattail when we're like, okay, Tasha, that was out of pocket. We'll tell you that, but when we tell it to you, you know, we love you. And she does. I will say she's accepting. Now, if you're not close to her, if you're not connected to her, that's different.
Yes.
But the people that are connected to her, that she knows have her genuine, they want the best for her, she receives that very, very well. I will say that. So, any tips that you would like to give to people? Talk to church people, because I feel like this has been, talk to the church folk, because I kind of feel like last week, a lot of the church people responded to it, because they were like, I had the same experience and I didn't know how to navigate it by being in church. So what would be some advice that you would give?
I would say find someone in the church that can help you, or that's someone that's been in a situation. I have this thing where if I found Malaika to be my mentor. If I'm having a problem, I'm gonna go to Malaika. I don't always have to go to anybody else in the church. I mean, God, Malaika, that's it.
And it's not always official. A lot of times she'll just text me. She'll like, hey, I'm dealing with something right now. I really just need you to pray for me. And sometimes the text conversation, we talk it through a little bit, so that you can kind of purge some of those feelings in the moment. And then usually by the end, you know, as I'm texting her, I'm praying throughout that time. Then I try to keep her on my mind and pray for her throughout the day. But sometimes it doesn't have to be a big official thing, right? You know, text conversations sometimes are just as effective as being on the phone or being in front of somebody.
If you're like me, I don't like to cry in front of people either.
Yes.
So like sometimes I do keep a lot of things in, and she'll tell me like, you know,
can't do that.
Talk it out, say something. Good. And sometimes I do like to just be close in. So if I'm sending a text or whatever it may be, I even might send a message through Instagram. Just, you know, this is what it is. Just for people to, you know, maybe Tasha might get a phone call, prayer, whatever. So I don't know, just don't keep it in.
Don't keep it in. Have somebody that you talk to.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be in their face, traditional type of conversation. The one thing I do like is that she's been better with not isolating herself when she's having those moments, so she's reaching out more, because we fussed at her. I know I fussed at her about that. When she comes and she tells me on Sunday, pray for me, and then tells me what happened, and I'm like, well, why didn't you text me when it happened? My day is busy, her day is busy, but that doesn't mean that I can't take 2 minutes or a minute or 30 seconds to just stop and pray in that moment and send the message back that lets you know I got your back, and I'm going to be here to support you through this. Because I feel like the enemy and even the mental health challenges want you to isolate yourself. They don't want you to connect with people, because the more you disconnect, the easier it is for you to spiral down in a negative way. And so that's the reason why I fussed at you about staying connected.
And I see myself going in that route. Even my brother was like, yo, all you do is come home and you're in your row.
Right. Not good.
Like, okay. I see it. I started to see it, and I was just like, okay, maybe I need to get out more.
Right. And getting out doesn't have to be anything. It don't have to be money involved. It doesn't have to be a special planned activity.
It don't. I'll take $20 and go to the arcade and be fine.
Now the arcade is good. That's a good fun outlet. I like that.
Me and my kids love
I
it.
like that. So hopefully something that was said today encourages you. I want you to see the different faces of what mental illness looks like. And I don't want it to be, I really don't like that word, even though that's the technical term. I hate that word, because I feel like when people hear that word, it's like something's wrong with them or they're crazy. That's not really what it's saying. It just basically is saying that there's something that's not right? You know, like if a person is ill, right, if we say they're ill, they may have an infection that can go away, or their body is fighting off something. I feel like when we go through these challenges, our psyche, our mind is fighting off these things that are not healthy. And it's sometimes a continual process. For some people, it may be a lifelong journey, we don't know. But I do believe that there's help. There's help from a spiritual standpoint, and then there's help from a professional, standpoint as well. So I appreciate the fact that she talked about going to therapy, and that she talked about she doesn't just go to church, that she also goes to a professional for this to help her through that process. So again, I encourage you, if this is a story that is similar to yours and you're like, you see yourself in Tasha, get out there, get help, stay connected to your support system, let people know what's going on. And until next week, when we have another conversation, we wish you well. Have a great rest of your week. God bless. See you.